What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris Mann. I am here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. My name is Chris Drummond. I am a freelance sports reporter based out of upstate New York here and proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why and get to know them outside of their occupation. I got a very special guest that's on with me today, as she is a Marist graduate. She is also a news person for the Associated Press, but she's also spent some time reporting for Fansided, and she's also been a reporter for GO Media. Her name is Mackenzie Meaney. Yes, I said it, but she's not a meanie. Her last name is Meaney. Okay, we're gonna talk to her about her why of getting into journalism, and we're also gonna talk to her about her why of covering sports as well. But we're also going to ask her some get to know you questions. So without any further ado, Mackenzie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Excited to have you here. Thank you so much for agreeing to this. My first question to you is the same as it always is with everybody that comes on here, and that is, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Did you have any role models, any inspirations, maybe growing up going to St. Joseph High School? But tell me, what is your why of getting into the journalism industry?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question. I think for me, my why kind of comes down to I wasn't really good at anything else. I had teachers in high school who told me I was a really good writer, and I played sports my whole life. I played soccer, I played ice hockey, and I played lacrosse. So I figured the best thing to do with my time and have a fun job maybe is to be a reporter and try to combine the only thing that I seem to be good at in school, which is writing, and my passion for being an athlete and being a woman in sports, and kind of bring it all together. But that's kind of how I got started. Yeah, I had a teacher who was just like, "You're a good writer. Maybe you should do writing for a living." And I was like, "I got no other options." My like parents and my siblings, like they all had like boring desk jobs and like things that did not sound exciting to me. So I was like, I
Right.
want to do something different. I want to do something fun, and this seems like a perfect way to have a fun job.
Absolutely. And listen, for me, I grew up in California. So I was a huge Lakers fan, a huge Kobe Bryant fan. Grew up in that time. I love sports. I played sports in high school, as you probably did as well. And I just fell in love with it. Like, I was a terrible writer. I'm gonna be honest, McKenzie. I was terrible. I was awful. But the reason why I was mainly off was because I was writing about stuff like Moby Dick and writing about thick books that I really didn't care about and wanted to read. But as soon as I started writing about something I was very passionate about, I became a better writer, which was sports for me. And I love all sports except cricket. Still don't understand that sport too well. But other than that, every other sport I absolutely love. What is your favorite sport to write on?
That's a good question. I go through phases a lot. My favorite sport to just like I guess watch in general is like hockey. I love the NHL, and like I mentioned earlier, I played hockey growing up, so it's just exciting, and it's just like something that I love to do. I've been doing a lot with my role at AP. I've been kind of covering a lot of college football right now. I've done WNBA in the past, and I've done MLB in the
Yep.
past. So
Yep.
those kind of are like the top three for me right now in terms of what I kind of like sit down and I'm like excited to watch these games and report on them. We just had really exciting WNBA season,
Yes, we
a
did.
bunch of good games to cover for the AP. And baseball has been super fun as well. We did a lot of games before the playoffs started because I'm on the college desk. So right now my big focus is college football, outside of the top 25. So I get to watch football all day Saturday and write about it. So there's really, honestly, nothing better this time of year.
You ain't never lied on that. I mean, this is the greatest time of year for a sports reporter or a sports fan, period. Obviously, with the NBA starting, college football starting, college basketball will be starting in just a couple of weeks as well, which I'm going to be doing some Syracuse games as well, which is amazing. I've also covered MLB, WNBA. Prior to me coming up here, I was covering the Minnesota Lynx for a few games as well. So, and obviously, as you know, Minnesota Lynx is one of the top teams in the WNBA. It was so cool getting to cover Game 3 of the finals last year when they played the Liberty. That was amazing at Target Center. Target Center was rocking, no question
Mm-hmm.
about that. So it's awesome. I love the fact that you get a chance to watch college football all day Saturday, because that's typically what I do Sunday. I watch NFL all day as well. So I love that. That's amazing. Um, we talked about it. You went to Marist. Okay, and I want to know, were there any other schools that could have persuaded you, Mackenzie, from going to Marist? And if so, what were those schools?
Yeah, I have to think now. When I was back looking at colleges, my top two choices, ironically, both in the same conference at the same time, were Marist and Monmouth University in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason, I think, honestly, I don't really remember, but like at Monmouth, I would have studied something completely different. Like it wouldn't have been journalism. And I'm not sure if you've seen the Marist campus, but it's absolutely stunning. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, in my mind. And it's closer to home than New Jersey is for me. I'm based in Connecticut, and that's where I grew up. So Marist was only about like an hour and a half drive away. So it was
Okay.
important to me to be closer to my family. And outside of that, like I really didn't apply. Like when I was applying to schools, I feel like I kind of applied in a way where I like didn't know what I wanted to do.
Sure.
And then when I applied at Marist, I just, by chance kind of realized that they had a communication school, they had a journalism program. So it was like, you know, I guess that's kind of what I want to do. If, I have these teachers telling me I'm a good writer, maybe that's where I should, put my energy and time in. But once I got on the campus, like, it was so beautiful. And it was just like, I knew I didn't want to go somewhere that was a big campus. I wanted to have a small campus feel where I wasn't in any lecture halls. I had classes where professors knew who I was, knew the kind of person I was,
Mm-hmm.
and really had that kind of like almost like one-on-one moments with professors and like classmates, having the smaller environment. So almost went to school in New Jersey, but ultimately didn't. Happy with my choice of going to Marist, and obviously it helped. Launch my career as like where I went to next, because I decided to get my master's and I went to Northwestern, and I lived in Chicago for a year, and that was like so much fun, but it's such a culture shock from going from a tiny school in the Hudson Valley to a big city like Chicago. But it was
No
so much
question.
fun, and like it was just the best. College was the best. I loved my time at Marist.
That's where my mother and father grew up and was born, in Chicago, Illinois. So I have a lot of ties there, a lot of family there. Are you a fan of deep dish pizza?
I am not. Like I said, I'm from Connecticut, so I'm a New Haven style pizza loyalist, and I will die on that hill.
Mm. Okay. Now, don't. I've never had New Haven style pizza. What is that? How what does that consist of?
I think it's just like a thinner crust, and it's like, I don't know, it's
Mm.
just so good. It's like really thin.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, I have never had thin crust pizza before, so I can't even knock it until I try it. So maybe one of these days, I've never even been to the. That's actually my next bonus question for you, is Connecticut, because if I'm not mistaken, you're from. Is it Trimble? Is that how you say it? Is it?
Yeah, I'm from around there. Yeah, Trumbull.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously, hearing about certain cities in Connecticut, I've heard about Stores. I mean, that's where the University of Yukon is. Bristol, obviously, is where ESPN headquarters is. How far are you from those places? And tell me, what was it like growing up in Connecticut?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like because not a lot of people honestly ask me that, so I'm excited to talk about where I'm from.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yes, so I went to high school in Trumbull, which you mentioned earlier, St. Joseph High School. I'm
Hmm.
originally from a town called Woodbridge, which is just outside of New
Oh,
Haven. So I'm from the bottom half of the state, kind of closer to like the shoreline. Well, I don't live near the beach, but like the towns close to me are closer to the water. So
sure.
Stores is pretty north up there. Bristol is about 45 to an hour away from where I live. But growing up here, I've loved it. I still live here. All of my family still lives here. Um, we're a little spoiled in terms of having really good college basketball to watch all the time.
Hmm.
And being such a big women's sports fan, I really inherited that from my grandmother. My grandmother is like the biggest UConn women's basketball fan. So from a young age, I had been indoctrinated to watch UConn basketball.
Hmm.
Um, and my family, like, my dad is a huge a hockey fan as well, and he was a big Hartford Whalers fan. So like, I've been very spoiled in terms of like having good local stories and like local teams to cheer for, even though the Whalers aren't around anymore. My dad still says they're his favorite team, so that's
Sure.
always fun. He doesn't root for
Sure.
the Hurricanes, which is where Hartford the Whalers relocated to. He won't root for them. He'll only root for the Whalers.
Wow. Okay. Well, listen. Stay true to your homegrown roots. I love that. And you did mention you were an NHL fan. I'm huge in the NHL myself. My favorite player is probably Connor McDavid, for the Edmonton Oilers. Next is Sid the Kid. Obviously Crosby for me. And then I probably would say the up and coming player that I'm starting to like a lot is from the Devils, Jack Hughes. He is a
Mhm.
monster on the ice, no question. Give me three of your favorite players in the NHL.
Yeah, that's the first player that comes to mind for me. I'm a Washington Capitals fan. I don't really know why. I just decided
Mm,
I really like Alex Ovechkin growing up as a kid. He can
yeah,
score a bunch of goals, and he looks a little silly with his tooth missing out from the puck hitting him. So as a kid, I always thought that was a little goofy. But Ovi is up there for one of my top players to watch for sure.
absolutely.
Um, Let's see. I think that a lot of people don't like him just because he has a reputation of being like a rat, but I think Brad Marchand is like such a elite player.
Okay.
So I've
Florida
always been,
Panthers.
Boston's, yeah, and when he was in Boston, Boston was close enough. So I've seen a handful of Brad Marchand, and I just think he's so into it. He just understands it so well. And I
Mm-hmm.
think McDavid too. Like McDavid is, the future of the sport. I think he's definitely going to be like remembered for having multiple Stanley Cups, even though he hasn't had one yet, and the MVP seasons and all that. McDavid's so fun to watch, and I think the thing that makes me like the NHL a lot is that a lot of the players are kids. Like when you think about it, like they're 18, 19, 20 years old,
Yeah, they are
and you have
kids.
to really be, have a lot of skill and dedication and love for the game. And I think that really shows through a lot of these young players, like Matthew Schaefer, who just got drafted to the Islanders, the
Mm-hmm.
first overall pick. Like, he just loves to be out there, and you can tell it's like infectious. So I think that's one of the things that makes me like really love the sport too. So I agree. I like the young guys. I like Jack Hughes. I like his brothers. On the Capitals, we drafted a guy named Ryan Leonard, and he's so fun. He's so fun to watch.
Okay. I love it. I love it. No, listen, I've been a huge NHL fan for a while now. My favorite team is actually the Blackhawks. We've kind of
Mm-hmm.
stunk for a lot of years, but I do love Connor Bedard. I really like him quite a bit. Austin Matthews comes to mind as well from the Maple Leafs. He's another guy that I really like. When I lived in Minnesota, they went wild, no pun intended, over their team there for sure. So Caprio is somebody who is one of my favorite players to watch as well. So yeah, and I love the fact that it's back. To me, I think we got a lot of parity this year. I think that Florida kind of ran through a lot of teams last year in the playoffs, right? Kind of definitely took me by surprise with the Rangers because I thought the Rangers were just smoking everybody in the regular season, and all of a sudden Florida just came in and kind of wiped them out. I think this year is going to be a struggle for Florida to repeat because we got a lot more teams that's very good. Like you said, Edmonton. Can't forget about Dallas. The Stars are definitely going to be there again, in my opinion. And then, but you got a lot of teams to me that are decent, that have a legitimate shot to possibly win that Stanley Cup for sure. You mentioned college basketball as well. And I'm a huge college basketball fan. Um, had a chance to go see UConn when they came down to think they played the University of Georgia. I was in because I went to school in Georgia at Kennesaw State University, but the University of Georgia, which is in Athens, was only about an hour away. So I went and saw them play live, and I was like, man, to see Gino and his crew and Chris Daly and all them, that was so electric to see them do that. Now they beat the hell out of Georgia. There's no question about that, but it was still great to see the UConn team. That was one of my bucket list things that I wanted to do. And UConn for sure looks like a juggernaut with AC Fudd on that team as well.
Absolutely. I mean, UConn's always been so fun to watch, and again, I think I'm a little biased just because of where I'm from.
Sure.
But they've just had so many talented players throughout the year. I know there's a video going around right now with Azzy Fudd like giving her like top starting five at UConn, and it's like you need like a top starting 10 or 20, because there's
You
just so
do.
much so much talent. You might as well make a
Hmm.
whole all time roster at that point. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I think UConn has a really good chance to do it again. Like get pretty far. I guess I don't know about do it again. I think Don Staley and South Carolina are on their redemption tour for sure. I think they
Hmm.
probably are hell bent on getting
UCLA
another
too.
title. Yeah,
I
UCLA
think.
too. I think LSU could be up in there as well. All of these
Hmm.
teams that have been so elite in the last couple of years, and that kind of allowed UConn, I think, to kind of like sneakily, kind of under the radar, come up as like a really talented program. And now all these
Absolutely.
other teams that got knocked off by UConn, they're ready to come back and try to win it from them.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm gonna ask you some favorite questions, Mackenzie, and I want you to give me the
Hmm.
411 off the rip based upon these favorite questions. Okay, so here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
My favorite meal that I like to cook. I love to grill. I love to grill like a nice steak and have like potatoes. That would be like my favorite meal.
Okay, now, Mackenzie, when I pull up in Connecticut, I might have to say hello to you. I'm with you on
That's
that,
all
but
right.
hold
I'll
on.
cook for you.
Okay, but hold on. Look, here's the thing. How do you like to cook your steak? Because I know how I like to cook mine. How do you cook your steak?
I like it somewhere in between like medium rare and medium. I don't love it like super red, but a little bit more
You
than that.
got it. You got my heart because that's exactly how I like to cook my steak, medium rare. Now, I will confess, growing up, I did not always do that. I grow up when I grew up, I was well done, and that's a lot of times where you have to like saturate it in so much sauce just to get a little bit of taste because it's well done. But when it's medium rare and it's not like super bleeding, oh my gosh, you don't even need any A1 steak sauce. It's just
Mm-hmm.
so good, and I really had to learn that over my years because I grew up, with my mom and dad cooking it well done. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. I love that. Steak and potatoes. That's what's up. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Oh, I love music, so I've been to a lot of good concerts, but my favorite artist right now is this guy called Youngblood from England. He
Mm.
puts on a really good show, and I love his music, and he has a really good message too. So that's probably I saw him like last month, and that was like one of the best shows I've ever been to.
Yeah, I think he just came out on tour, or he's going, or recently he's been going on tour. I've heard about that artist. I don't know much of his music, but you're gonna have to send me some songs, send me some recs on what
Yeah.
to listen to, and I would definitely check him out. I'm a huge uh music lover as well. My range can go from Kendrick Lamar all the way to Taylor Swift. It just
Hmm.
it's a super wide range. But if you ask me what my favorite concert is, I would probably say Post Malone. I'm a huge Post Malone fan, no question about that. So yeah, love his stuff. Favorite place, Mackenzie, you've ever traveled to?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, mm, I will say I went to Quebec when I was in high school. We had like a class trip to Quebec, which it feels kind of random, but it was like the most fun trip I've ever had. And maybe it's because I was in high school and I got to go with like my friends. We got to stay in like a hotel, but we saw a lot of like sights to see and stuff. And I had never been to Canada before then, so that was a fun trip. I would say Quebec.
Now, I'm definitely going to hit you up for some Rex because that's the one city in Canada that I definitely want to go to. I'd love to go to Montreal as well. I've been to Toronto for sure. Toronto is one of my favorite cities in the world. No question about that. I love Toronto. But Quebec is a city that I definitely want to check out as well as Montreal as well. I would say for me, definitely New Orleans. When I went there for the Super Bowl this past February, it was my first time covering the Super Bowl. That was absolutely amazing. The food was phenomenal. When they throw it down there in New Orleans in the 504. No question about that. But it was a great time because the city was great host. They had a casino down the street. Bourbon Street was popping with people and beats and all over the place. It was just such a great time. I was just definitely one of my favorite cities for sure, New Orleans. If you ever get a chance to go, or if you have went, Please definitely go. Put that on the bucket list for sure.
I know I do. I want to go. I've never been.
Oh, it's amazing. It really is. I want to ask you as a sports person because I have a two-part sports question. Okay, favorite sport you like to watch on TV? Favorite sport you like to attend in person? They could be the same sport.
I think my favorite sport to watch on TV is hockey. I think it's fun to watch it there, but watching it on TV, you have honestly a way better view than anywhere in the stands because
Sure,
you're right over the rink, so you can see it very
sure.
well. Um, and my favorite game or sport to attend would be like WNBA games. Like I'm from Connecticut, so I've seen a bunch of Connecticut Sun games. I've gotten down to the city to see the New York Liberty play.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm kind of late to the like professional basketball train because like I mentioned, I watched UConn basketball in college for a while, so I didn't really get into like professional basketball, WNBA and NBA until I was in college. And like what a time to get in to be a WNBA fan. So to see the growth of having almost nobody in the stands to having sold out crowds and all the talent that they have, at that time it was so like, oh my god, why is nobody watching, why is nobody here? And now it's like
Right.
so many people are here, and I'm so happy that everybody's here, and it's just like one big
Absolutely.
party. You just get to hang out and have fun.
It really is. Being in Atlanta, I saw a lot of Atlanta Dream games. Going to college there, going to Minnesota Lynx, saw a lot of Minnesota games. Obviously, being here in Syracuse in upstate New York, it's tough to get to a WNBA game, but that is actually one of my goals to be able to, whenever that season does drop. Hopefully, I'm praying to God we hopefully do have a season coming up. That'd be amazing. Obviously, they got to work through some things in that collective bargaining agreement. But I'm hoping we do have a season to where I can possibly get to some games. Maybe come out there to even New York, the city of New York, because I come out there at least 2 3 times for different various events. So I would definitely like to come out there and check out a WNBA game and see about that for sure. So yeah, I like your answer though, Mackenzie. That's what's up. I'm a huge foodie. Okay, I love to eat, and I want to ask you, what is your favorite restaurant to eat out at?
Ooh, that's tough. Um, right now, I don't know. I feel like it changes a lot, but I really like breakfast. I think breakfast, like going out to eat and like going out for breakfast and brunch is like a really fun
Amazing.
activity. And there's
Hmm.
a place that's like local to me that I like have grown up going to that has like the best breakfast ever. It's called Chips and it's in Orange, Connecticut, and they have like the best pancakes, like the best pancakes I've ever had.
Okay. Now, I'm a huge breakfast person too. Like I'm the type of person to eat breakfast for dinner. I don't know if that's what you do, but I love that. Now I'm a person that loves pancakes as well. Do they make wheat pancakes?
I feel like they do. I honestly don't know, but I feel like they do. They've got to. They have to make like all the like gluten free or whatever. They're gonna have to. They have to really
Hmm.
do it all that. But they have
I
their like
love that.
regular ones are the best. Like with no
Okay.
toppings, nothing in them is the best. But they have like ones with chocolate chips or bananas or like they have ones that are like all chocolate and like they
Mm.
get a little crazy with it. But the regular ones are
Okay.
the best.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I love pancakes. I'm a huge like. What is your perfect breakfast meal? I'll tell you mine, and you can tell me yours. Mine is will be pancakes, with some turkey sausages or turkey patties, with some hash browns, with some eggs with cheese.
That sounds like a great plate too. I would say I would definitely go with pancakes. And I would probably have like bacon on the side. I'm more of a bacon
Hmm.
person than a sausage person.
Okay.
And then I like hash browns, but I like when they're like shredded and they're like fried
Yeah.
and it's like the little strings of potato.
Yep.
I do that, and then I'd probably have a nice like glass of juice of some kind, maybe apple, maybe orange. It depends on the
I'm
vibes.
huge. I'm huge. Huge in apple juice. That is probably my favorite. You can certainly twist my arm if you get me some cranberry juice, grape cranberry, to be honest with you. If you do that, that'd be great too. But apple juice, I'm definitely huge on. But I'm a huge breakfast person, so I love that. I have to check out that restaurant when I come to that town. I really do. And I really do want to come see Connecticut because that is a place that I've never been to before. It's definitely on my bucket list for sure to come out there and check that out. Okay, I like that. I want to ask you about your day to day. As you know, reporters like us, we never have 2 days of the same. We are always on the go. We're always talking to different people, writing different stories, doing different things. And kind of what makes our job absolutely fun and amazing to do because we never know how the outcome of something is going to be, especially in sports. But at the same time, there's long days. There's sometimes long form stories, sometimes editorials, sometimes previews, sometimes interviews, all different kinds of stories that we write. Talk to me about a day to day process of how many stories you typically write in a week for the Associated Press. How many games do you write about? How many not in person stories, but feature stories that you have to write? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so with my role at AP, I'm kind of lucky in the sense that I'm only really busy on the weekends because that's when most of college football is being played,
Yeah.
especially for the season that I'm in right now. And right now it's just like strictly game stories. So, kind of like I mentioned earlier, I'm on the college sports desk, so we'll do college football, college basketball, and when college football is in season, we handle all of the college football games that are outside of the AP Top 25. So those have, designated writers, people who go to those games and cover those games, and we do everything else. So
Right.
when I'm
Right.
kind of getting ready for my shifts, I'll have anywhere from like 8 to 11 games a day, and I guess basically it breaks down to like 2 games an hour, pretty much, and I'll work,
Mm.
8 hours usually. So I'll have like 2 games at 1, and then a game at 2, and then a game at 3, and a game at 3:30, and they'll all be starting at different times, or it'll be different schools or whatever. But I'll basically just check where they're all being played and read the game notes, read the previews, see what's been put out or what they're talking about or what's going on. Like, is it homecoming? Because that's kind of the season we're in right now,
Yep.
or is a coach coming in on their 100th career win, or, a player having like 4,000 receiving yards. If they break 4,000 receiving yards, it's a school record or something. Something along those lines. I'm always looking for
Sure.
those kinds of details because the write ups we do for the AP are very short. 150 to 200 words. They're very
Right.
short, and it's just like the most core moment of the game that really, tells a story. So, I like to sprinkle in those little details if I can, assuming I can find them and what's going on. But yeah, also if a game starts at 1, usually I'll get on a little bit later, so I'll catch the end of the game. And a lot of times I'm lucky because recently, at least, the games have been coming down to like the last play or going into overtime or something like that. So immediately, if I come into it knowing that like, oh, this game's wrapping up and it's a 1 point game and there's 2 minutes left, like this could be the most important drive and this could be the most important moment,
Sure.
which could lead off my story. I spend a lot of time sitting at my desk, this here desk. I love it so much. So I spend a lot of time here, which I'm sure you spend a lot of time at your desk as well.
Hmm.
But I basically just have a million tabs up on one screen of like all my game stories as they go throughout the day to get ready to submit and write and share. And then on another screen, I have the games playing or the live stats or whatever. And then the game happens, I write up my little thing, and then we do a lot of swapping on the college desk, so I'll edit somebody else's while they edit mine. We'll give it one final look, and then we'll send it off, and then it'll go up. And that's kind of the process of how we work over at the desk.
I love it. I mean, there was a time where I was working in different publications because I started in Atlanta, Georgia, working at a publication, and then I would cover high school, so mainly high school games. Then I went to Minnesota and I started covering high school and college. And there'll be times where we would have to take Associated Press stories, and because we did page design, and we would have to put them into our pages of so I love the fact that you said when you write the shorts. I'm like, yeah, I used to find those so much in Associated Press to write about stuff like that and put it in our pages, right, for Minnesota, especially when it was talking like Minnesota Twins or Minnesota Bass or Minnesota Timberwolves or some a professional team or a college team. We would take those shorts and we would put them into our pages like that. So I do love that you guys do that for sure at the Associated Press. You guys write great stuff. There's no question about that. Um, but I want to lead into this question because I want to talk to you about mental health and work life balance. Right? Because you just said it to yourself. You said sometimes you have maybe 4 games going on. Now, when basketball season starts, they play 2, 3, 4 games in a week. And not only that, it's not only men's basketball, it's women's basketball. So you could be looking at multiple games each week. And if you talk about multiple teams, woo, that I mean, it's going to get busy. Okay, that's nonetheless. Talk to me about how you keep your mental health strong, Mackenzie, but also still have that work life balance. Because you seem like a wonderful woman to be around. I certainly wouldn't mind being around with you, hanging out with you. And I'm sure your friends say the same thing about you. But you also seem very dedicated about your job. So, how do you balance all of that and not experience burnout?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. I think burnout's really like happening a lot in our industry, and there are so many things that can lead to like ultimately like not enjoying this career. You could be there's layoffs that happen, or
Hmm.
departments get cut, things like that, and those are obviously things out of a reporter's control. When I was working at Geo Media, like you mentioned, I used to work for Deadspin, and I got hired at Deadspin in December, and I got laid off in March, and so like I've been through the layoffs, I've been through all of those things, and it makes you really kind of grateful for the every other opportunity that you get after that, even though they may not be
Absolutely.
like full time or exactly what you're looking for. Those are really important things. But for me, it's really important, especially on the days that I do have to do work, is that like I wake up. I know I'm going to be sitting at my desk for a while, so like I like to wake up. I like to go to the gym. I like to run a couple quick errands, like really kind of be outside of where I live and outside of
Absolutely.
not standing or anything like that or sitting, so I can stand and walk and do whatever because I know I'm going to be glued to my computer for a couple of hours. But I also think too, for me, like I balance it just because like I know that there are other things that I also enjoy in addition to my job. So I really like I enjoy working out, like I've been talking about. I enjoy spending time with my friends and my partner, and I enjoy like playing video games or like watching movies or television or whatever. Like I have other things that I enjoy. So I never am like, oh my god, like ugh, I have to work. It's gonna keep me away from all these other things that I enjoy. It's like I enjoy working and I love the field that we're in. So it's like I'm gonna do my work and I'm gonna be so excited to do my work and really give my all and lock in, and then I'm gonna
Absolutely.
on over the weekend I'm gonna go for a walk and go to the gym, or um, I coach lacrosse as well. So I'm like on the weekends, I get to coach and I get to be with my team and I get to have fun and whatever. So I think it's really just finding all of the things that you're passionate about, because everybody's
Mhm.
passionate about something, and really dedicating the time to grow into it if you don't know what it is yet, or find the time to like really hone it and like get good at it.
That's awesome. Now, let me guess. Do you coach hockey as well?
No, I only coach lacrosse. I wish I could, but lacrosse is honestly a way more fun sport for me to coach. I think if I coached hockey, I'd be a little too like, in it with the players. I'd be like, let me just get out there and score. With lacrosse, I have a little bit more restraint.
I feel it. I feel it. Now, what age are you coaching? Are you coaching like high school or maybe a little younger?
Yeah, so I coach a high school team, and I also coach a younger team. So I have kids in like the sixth grade kind of age group, and then
Yeah,
I coach a high school level team, and then I also coach at a high school as well. So
I
I have a
love
lot of
it.
time with the high schoolers, so I enjoy my time with my little sixth graders.
I love that. That's awesome, Mackenzie. It really is. Now, it's a question worth asking about mental health, because everybody deals with mental health differently. Everybody's cards are dealt differently. Everybody's lives are different. But everybody faces adversity as well. Some people really get hit hard and they have to step away. I've seen it in this industry, right? You've probably seen it with some colleagues too. They've had to step away because their mental health was affected. Um, and I've also seen work life balance really affect people as well. Now, me personally, I don't ever think you're going to get work life balance 100%, because in this industry, everybody's balance is different, and it's just never going to be perfect. So I just think you have to manage it really well and to the best of your abilities. But it also brings up a great segue to this next question, and that is advice. What is some advice that you would give someone that wants to be a sports journalist or sports reporter, or individual that's doing what you do, or just be a sports journalist in general? What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest piece of advice, like I honestly feel like people have asked me about this a lot recently, and I'm like, I don't really know, I just do it. But I think for me, the biggest like thing is just to like find your niche, find your little thing that you enjoy. Like for me, when I started out doing this in college and whatever, I was all in on women's sports and I was all in on feature writing. Like really spending time with people, sitting with them, talking with them, and reporting on, stories about their lives or whatever's going on or whatever.
Sure.
Um, those are the things that I was really passionate about, and those led me to some amazing opportunities. But um, and I'm sure you've experienced this too in this industry, is that like you can be really passionate and be really good about it, and like this is the one thing you really want to do, but sometimes the industry changes and the trends change and people are looking to read different things, or
Right.
maybe your features were doing really well, but now you got to write about other stuff. So it's really kind of all about how you take those things that force you to pivot, and then how you pivot, how do you respond, right? Like, do you be like, oh man, like these aren't the things I want to write about, this isn't how I started doing this? Or are you just going to be like, yeah, give it to me, I love a challenge, even if I don't know how to do it, I'll do it. And I think some of that, at least for me, comes from like being a former athlete, right? Like you never know who's going to show up on game day, and you never know, what goes in. You can only kind of control how you prepare and how you
Right.
practice and how you train in the weight room, or how you eat, what's your nutrition like, things like that. You can only prepare yourself. You can't really prepare for the game or the people around you. If you just go out and do the best you can, you can just hope that the best will come back and find you. And usually, if you do all of those things and prepare well, I think it is just sets you up for doing well in journalism or in whatever industry you choose to work in. But I think it's just how you pivot, and because pivots will come, and like I mentioned earlier, like bad things like layoffs or things like that can always happen too. And it's just kind of like, do you get down in the dumps about it? Which it's okay to do. It's okay to be sad, obviously, about losing your
Sure.
job or
Sure.
whatever. But how are you going to respond? Are you going to be like, yeah, I'm done, this is it for me? Or are you going to be like, what's next? Where do we go?
Absolutely. Listen, you said the key word there, in my opinion, which is challenges. This industry is challenging, and if you let it, it'll knock you to your knees, in my opinion. This is a type of industry where it does test the character of yourself. You have to be able to, like you said, take on challenges and things that you are not comfortable doing to do. And this is how I live my life, Mackenzie. I live my life like be comfortable being uncomfortable is what I should say. And I love that. I love meeting people that are comfortable being uncomfortable, because in life, it's the same thing. You're not always going to be comfortable in everything that you do. And you're going to have to take on some stories, some challenges, some adversity, as we just talked about. Be comfortable being uncomfortable, though, allows you to deal with it better, allows you to put you in a headspace where you're not thinking, oh man, you're dreading something. You're accepting the challenge and be like, you're embracing the new. And that's what you have to do in an industry like this. I remember covering a fishing tournament. I've never fished a day in my damn life. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I don't know nothing about fishing, but I embraced it because number one, it's a new challenge. Number two, I'm going to learn something new. Number three, I may talk to some individuals that might give me some great material. And number four, I'm going to see something of a new event that I could write about and get the people reading about that they might not have known that goes on in the city that I'm living in. It's just once again embracing those new things and those challenges. So I love that you said that word challenges, because that's really key in this industry. Some people don't want to accept those, and listen, that's fine if you don't, but you have to also understand that this may not be the industry for you. You may have to, like you said, another word, pivot to something different, for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it's also really helpful to know that like everybody in the industry has experienced what you're going through. You know, it's really
Yeah,
important in times when it's hard to like lean on the people around you. And like I know
sure.
earlier before we started recording, we were talking about Jane McManus, and you know she was a guest on your podcast. But you know Jane is kind
She
of like
was.
a mentor to me. So like when I have issues or things or I have questions or whatever, it's you know I can reach out to her and she always gets back to me. Or you know former professors that I've had over the years and you know kids I went to class with and you know working in the industry. One of my best friends from college is a girl named Bridget Riley who is a sports reporter for the New York Post. And every time I'm like this is getting tough, like I don't know what do I do, whatever. She's just like you got it. She's like I know you got it, and I'm like yeah you're right I
Hmm.
do got it.
Hmm. She is also more than likely going to be on my podcast as well as a future guest, no doubt about it. Yeah, so I cannot wait to talk to Bridget as well, and I know she's going to be just as lovely as you are. There's no question about that. So yes, that's what's up. I love that. Now, Mackenzie, we have reached the portion of my podcast, and now we're going to play my interactive game called This or That. It is a game that I like to play with all my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast, and it's very simple. I'm going to throw some things at you, and you get to choose this or that. So, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
All right, here we go. Now, out of these two restaurants, which restaurant would you rather eat at? IHOP or Denny's?
IHOP.
I like that. Okay, okay, starting off pretty good. When it comes to chicken wings, which flavor would you rather put on the wing out of these two? Barbecue or lemon pepper?
Hmm. I think lemon pepper. I like a rub, you know, versus like a really saucy wing. I like a nice rub.
Okay, I like that. Now, so you like your wings dry instead of wet?
Yeah, I guess it also kind of depends, but most of the time I lean more
Okay.
dry.
Okay. Now, do you like your wings bone in or boneless?
I think it depends on the kind of vibe. Like if I'm sitting at a bar watching a sports game and I'm just like into it, I'll have with the bone. But if I'm trying to be a little bit more classy, a little bit more neater, maybe I'll go for boneless.
I love it. A little bit more classy, a little bit more neater. Yes, eat it with a fork and get a napkin and do boneless.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. That's awesome. Okay. These next four questions have to do with music concerts you rather attend. So what would you say is your favorite genre, or do you like all kinds of genre of music?
I kind of like all of them. I don't I bounce around.
Okay, so here we go. The first one I'm going to ask you, which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Drake or Kendrick Lamar?
I would love to go to both if that was an option, but I guess if both isn't an option, I would rather go to a Drake concert because I think that Drake was a lot of songs from like my high school and middle school days were all Drake songs. I also really like Kendrick Lamar, so it's hard for me to pick. But for the nostalgia, I think I have to go Drake.
Okay, I'm with you on that. That sounded a little bit difficult, but Mackenzie, they're only going to get harder from here. So here
Oh
we go.
great.
All right. Which music concert would you rather go see? Rihanna or Beyonce?
Ooh, I've already seen Beyonce, so I will say Rihanna. That's an easy way to
Okay.
get out of it.
That is a very easy way to get out of it. I like that. Two great artists. Okay, here we go. Which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see The Weeknd or would you rather see Ariana Grande?
um, I guess I would rather see The Weeknd. I think I listen to a little bit more of his music than Ariana Grande's.
Okay. Okay, I like that. I like that. Now, last one for the music. Which music concert would you rather go see? Zach Brown Band or Luke Combs?
This is a tougher area. I'm honestly very new to the country genre. I wasn't a big
Hmm.
country fan, you know, until like honestly like 3 months ago.
Hmm.
Um, but I guess I don't know. I feel like a lot of people like Luke Combs. I bet he puts on a good show. I don't really know though, but I guess I would pick Luke Combs.
He does. He puts on a good show. Zach Brown Band does too, but Luke Combs definitely does put on a good show. Had the pleasure of seeing him live and in person. I want to ask this bonus music question because I'm also a rock fan. I don't know if you're a rock fan or not, but I'm definitely a rock fan. Which music rock band would you rather go see in person? Would you rather see Metallica or Pearl Jam?
Um, I don't know. Again, that's a tough one. I do like rock music too. But I think, mm, I guess I think I would go Metallica. I don't know why. I think it's a coin flip either way. I think they'd both be really good.
I think they would be. Yes, they definitely would be good. I'm huge into both of them. I would say more probably if I had to pick one, though, it'd be Metallica. But I like bands like Nirvana as well. Nirvana's one of my favorites. For the newer kind of versions, I like Maroon 5, as well. They're kind of alternative though, but I like them. I'm not into heavy metal. I can't get down with the heavy metal. No, that's just too much screaming for me. But
Mm.
other than that, every other genre I can get down with. But you did very good with the music. Let's transition back to sports. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Basketball or baseball?
Um, I think I would rather watch basketball. I think basketball has a little bit more energy, moves a little bit quicker, but baseball
Mhm.
I think is like one of the most unpredictable sports. Like you can never write a script about a baseball game
I
because it
mean,
always changes.
hello, hence, did you see George Springer 3-run home run in game 7? That was absolutely crazy. He hit that, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, wow, momentum changer of the game. Because the Mariners were cruising until that point, and Springer changed it around, and now look at it. We got a Toronto, and we got a Dodgers, or a LA and Toronto, I should say, World Series. Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Crazy, right? How they repping their
Mhm.
two cities like that. So that's what's up. I like that. Sports again. Which, or I should say this, which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
I think bowling. I think bowling could be fun.
Okay. Are you a good bowler?
No, not at all. But I'm also
Okay.
probably not very good at badminton, to be so honest with you. So at least, I feel like I could work on my bowling game versus my
I,
badminton game. I think my badminton game's it's gone. I can't fix it.
that's okay. That's all right. Listen, sometimes it just leaves us. It's like me in hockey. It's left me. I can't skate. For whatever reason, I've always hit the ice or hit the hardwood when it comes to skating. I just can't do it. I'm gonna leave that up to the very talented people on skates. But you know what? Hey, bowling is my thing. I definitely love to bowl for sure. So I like that. Okay. Do you like desserts?
I do. I like really bad. I love dessert.
Well, see, that's a beautiful thing, Mackenzie, because I'm gonna name you four different categories of desserts. You have to choose one category that you will eliminate and never eat again. So here we go. The first category is going to be cake/pies. So they're grouped together. The second category is candy. The third category is cookies. The last category is ice cream. Which one are you getting rid of?
Ugh, those are all really great categories that I don't want to get rid of.
Right.
But I guess I would get rid of like cakes and pies just because like everything else I could see myself like being very upset if I didn't get to eat them ever again.
I
Whereas like
feel
a
that.
cake or a pie I can kind of like live without, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. I think I would get rid of candy myself out of that group for sure. But I want to ask you,
Mm.
what is your favorite ice cream?
Ooh, I have really been into recently. Um, there is at the grocery store. It's like the Halo Top ice cream, and it's like their version of like the Ben and Jerry's chocolate chip cookie dough because I love cookie dough ice cream. But the Halo Top one has like better macros because we were talking about being in the gym and things like that. So I'm very big on my like tracking my macros and working out vibes. So the Halo Top like chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream is like my guilty pleasure. It's like I look forward to it every day.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. The Halo Top. Okay, I love me some chocolate chip cookie though. That is my second favorite ice cream. my first one would be cookies and cream. That was definitely my all-time favorite, no question. Okay. Do you like potato chips?
Like, yeah, I don't really eat them a lot, but I'll eat them at a party if they're out.
Oh, okay. Now I'm gonna name four brands. Same format. You got to choose one of these brands to eliminate that you'll never eat again. So here we go. The first brand is Ruffles. The next brand is Lay's. The third brand is Pringles. The last brand is Doritos. Which one are you getting rid of?
This is honestly a very easy choice. I'm going to get rid of Doritos because I'd much rather have like a boring, lame, regular plain chip than a flavored one.
I feel that. I totally feel that. Now, if we walked into a store together, Mackenzie, and I said, buy your favorite chip, what chip would you buy?
Um, I honestly probably would just buy like a tortilla chip of any kind. I love a good tortilla chip rather than a
Tortilla chip.
potato chip.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I like that. That's pretty good. And you did very good on this or that. I just want to let you know. So that was amazing,
Thank you. I
by
was
the
a
way.
little nervous. I wanted to make sure I nailed all my answers.
You definitely nailed all your answers, Mackenzie. You are absolutely amazing. Now, this next question has to do with bucket list. That's what it's called. It's the bucket list question. And what it is I want you to give me a top four of stories or events that you would like to cover in your career that you haven't done yet.
Yeah, I think for me, a bucket list would definitely be to cover an Olympics of any kind, wherever it is, winter, summer, doesn't matter.
Okay.
I would love to cover the Olympics. I would also love to do a like be at a WNBA championship and like cover it live from the event rather than
Oh, you
watching
would
it.
love that.
So
You would love it.
I would love to be there. Um, a women's World Cup as well. I love women's soccer. My favorite
Mhm.
team is the U.S. Women's National Team and has been since I was a little kid. They're just like my favorite team to follow. So women's
Okay.
World Cup. And I'll say a Stanley Cup final. Those would probably be my top four.
Absolutely. Well, you definitely took two of mine, which is the Stanley Cup final and the Olympics. Now, I would throw in the NBA finals for me, for sure, and then I would also throw in a college football playoff slash March Madness, which I feel like I'm going to cross off March Madness this year because they're coming to Buffalo for the first and second rounds of the of the men. So I feel like I'm gonna cross that off. So I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully, I can get there and be able to cover the first and second round because that would be amazing if I could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be fun. I've never been to a college basketball playoff game either, so I'm manifesting for you that you get to go.
And same for you as well, Mackenzie, for sure, no question. Now we talked about advice you would give, but what is some advice that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Yeah, I think for me, like the best advice that I've, carried with me throughout my life has like never honestly come from like a mentor or like somebody in the field. It's like come from like my family and people that I've grown up with and grown around. And so I think for me, the best one is that like if you have fun working, like it never feels like work, then you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that's really true for the people in our industry, right? Like we're just people
Right.
who love to work, we love sports, and we love the craft that we're in, and how to. At least I wake up every day wondering how can I get better, how can I do this, how can I be more efficient, or how can I, really perfect it. And I think that just
Absolutely.
comes from having just really deep love and respect for the sports and for the industry. So as long as you're having fun, you'll never work a day in your life.
I love that. Now, I want to ask this again. It kind of came up in my mind as you was talking. Is there a couple of stories that you've written that have been very impactful to you? Could be game stories, feature stories in your career thus far that has been very impactful into your career.
Yeah, when I was working for a company called Good Sport Media, which was Be Her Sports, and I was covering just women's sports, and I was doing feature writing. I got to talk to a lot of like Paralympians and like para athletes. So,
Yeah.
and I had never, I hadn't even talked to like, real regular athletes at that point either, just like the athletes at my college at Marist. So when I had the opportunity to interview Paralympic swimmers or runners or whoever, obviously those athletes are incredible and they have incredible stories, but it really kind of gave me a new perspective on, you know, I'm lucky that I get to wake up every day and move my body and, not have any, limitations to that, but, not everybody is as lucky. And,
Right.
these athletes work so hard to get to run on a track or swim in a pool or, do whatever sport that they do. And it's just incredible. Like, they're just incredible people, incredible athletes. So any of those stories that I did for Be Her, I think I did like 4 or 5 of them, and they were all like the most incredible like experience I've ever had.
Absolutely. That's amazing that you did that. I'm sure there were incredible stories because you're an incredible reporter, but better, even better, incredible subjects to talk to and share their stories. No question about that. So I'm glad that you did that. Um, I want to ask this last question to you, and that is inequalities of women's sports reporting. I'm very passionate about this because being in this industry that I've been in for the past 8 years, I have done a lot of different sporting events. Done section championships, state championships, professional sports. One of the things, Mackenzie, that I see less and less of is women at these events covering it. So you definitely don't see much women of color, and you definitely don't see much men of color either. But you definitely don't see women of color, and you don't see women at all. If you do, you may see one for every like 9 to 10 guys. Talk to me about, give me your perspective of what you feel maybe of women, of inequalities of women's sports reporting as far as maybe opportunity, pay, and treatment goes. Do you feel that there is a stigma behind that?
I mean, yeah, I do. I think, women have deserved a spot in Radio Row or in the press rooms and wherever. Like, they've always had a spot, and it should have always been there, and it unfortunately hasn't been.
Right.
I have experienced, being the only woman in the room, but also luckily not being the only woman in the room, which I think is, even more impactful because you get to see these women who have kind of paved the way for young female journalists like myself. I think there's obviously still work that needs to be done.
Cool.
I think a lot of sports these days and teams and leagues are trying to adopt this mantra of that like sports is for everybody, but that's simply not the case. Sports aren't for queer individuals because, they could, things could happen or people of color or whatever, whatever isn't, the mainstream thing. Sports aren't for everybody. And it's
Right.
unfortunate that it's still not for everybody. But I think those are kinds of the things that push me to keep going when the days are tough. I know we were talking about how, you really continue to fall in love with it every single day. But like knowing that I fought for my spot to be here and just by me showing up and me existing in this space is going to help other people in the future who want to be in this space. If they walk into a room and they don't see any other women, but they see me in the corner, that gives them, some hope that maybe one day, the press conferences will have more women there and more women covering it. And, I think a lot of men too just think, we don't know anything. And, what could we possibly know about football or basketball or whatever? Because
Because
maybe
you
those are
didn't
sports
play.
we've never played. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But it's like
Yeah.
I can read books and articles and watch film and understand the different plays you're trying to make or who's in what positions and things like that.
Cool.
Those are not things that you need to have played to know. Obviously it gives you insight if you've played these sports and you know things. That's why they ask people like Tom Brady to be on broadcasts and whoever. They wouldn't ask me, and that's okay. I don't want to do it.
Right.
um, but you know it's not that I can't. It's just that it's just gonna look different for me in my coverage than it would for somebody who's played football or whatever the case may be.
Well, sure. And that's why they call those people analysts, and that's why we're reporters, right? We report on what we see. Analysts break down games. Yeah, you're an analyst because you've played the sport, you played the game. But there's plenty of men out there that haven't played either. Not just women. There's plenty of men that haven't played, but they don't get the same kind of, stigma as, oh, why is women covering football because you haven't played football. Well, there's a lot of men that cover softball and we don't play softball. There's not not a men's league out there that does that. But the reason why it kind of bothers me is because The women's coverage, as far as not coverage, but women's audience as far as sports goes, I believe it's 35% plus. 35% plus of our audience is women that watch sports. It only grows our league and our industry even more when we have a woman's perspective, because it's a different perspective than what a man will probably say. And that's a good thing, because now we have debate, we have talk. You hear a lot of times where uh, the women's sports are starting to boom with college basketball and the WNBA and softball leagues coming out, volleyball leagues new coming out. And it should, right? It should boom, because there's some very talented women players, there's very talented women broadcasters and reporters that need to get the opportunity to have their voices heard. And I just feel that because of different kind of mindsets of people in hierarchy positions, that doesn't happen. And that's not right. And it shouldn't matter about your orientation. It shouldn't matter about whether or not you played or not. It's just a matter who is the best fit to talk about this sport and report on these sports. And I just feel there's some inequalities. I actually wrote a thesis on that. I really did, because I just felt like, even with the Title IX stuff and the Me Too movement, it's just not enough. Because women talk about it, but until men get behind it, I don't think it's going to be heard enough. Because us men got to be behind it too. It can't just be women talking about it. It has to be men stepping up saying women need more opportunities as well and to join the party. And I love your perspective on that, but I love asking, especially women sports reporters, their perspective on that, because I just feel we need to talk about it more and more and keep it alive.
Hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, for me too, like, I've loved sports forever. That's something that's never going to change for me.
For sure.
And the things around me will change, but as long as I know, what I'm here for, and, the love that I will have is that, this is something that I wake up every day and I'm so excited to do. So, like, the love will never be lost, no matter how dreary it might look for some of us in the
Sure.
industry.
Sure. I love that. I love that. And listen, Mackenzie, this has been a really, really dope conversation. I think you're an amazing individual, but I'm not breaking news by saying that. I think that you're very passionate about what you do and who you are. And you're obviously a new fan. I'm a new fan of yours. No question about it. I'm going to continue following you. I sure hope to see you on the sideline at some point in our careers. My final question to you is there anything else you would like to add about yourself, the job, or anything at all before we conclude?
Nah, I think, this was a great opportunity, Chris, so I really appreciate you reaching out and wanting to chat with me. And I appreciate Jane, if she's out there watching, for connecting the two of us. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
It was a lot of fun. And like I said, Mackenzie, I want you to enjoy your Wednesday night. I am thankful for reporters like you for being in this industry and being great representation. I want you to again have a great rest of the week as well. And you and I would definitely be in touch. Thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem.